हेलो एवरीवन, गुड आफ्टरनून, गुड इवनिंग ऑल। कैसे हैं सब लोग? मेरा नाम है अरविंद
नमस्ते एवरीवन। यहाँ पे सौरभ। होप एवरीवन इज डूइंग वेल।
और हम हैं हैदराबाद बॉयज, वी टॉक ऑल थिंग्स क्रिकेट। तो हमने सोचा आज के वीडियो में हम थोड़ा वर्ल्ड कप के बारे में बात करते हैं जो अभी हुआ था संडे को। तीन दिन हुए हैं। थोड़ा गिव यू अ रिव्यू ऑफ द क्रिकेट इटसेल्फ कि who are the best performers and who balled, who are the best performance with bat and ball. And we ended with our team of the tournament, what we think, you know is the best 11. Thoda differences hai hamare mein, and I think that's the whole thing we wanted to do, discuss with our fans today here. So maine socha ki I can share my screen and then maybe we can get started there, sort of. Any comments? First of all, kaisa laga world cup from a cricket point of view? Where do you rate this?
आई एंजॉयड इट। आई मीन सी I'm a true and true cricket fan. I mean बहुत लोगों को होता है कि क्लोज गेम्स हो ये हो। I mean eventually I mean everyone likes close games. But, cricketing point of view, I think I liked it. I mean I would have wanted to the teams like Pakistan and Sri Lanka to perform a little better. लेकिन हाँ ये बस एक ही चीज मुझे शायद डिसअपॉइंटिंग लगेगी कि बहुत पहले से पता चल गया हुआ द 14th, राइट? जैसे ही साउथ अफ्रीका 3 मैचेस जीत लिए, इंडिया वर मोर लेस थ्रू फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग। ऑस्ट्रेलिया 2 मैच के हिकअप के बाद द वे दे स्टार्टेड टू
Yeah.
परफॉर्म, सो बाय कम मैच 5 और 6 यू वेरी वेल न्यू। और न्यूजीलैंड ने 4 मैच जीत लिए थे। आई नो दे काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रगल्ड in the middle portion of their campaign, but more or less it was decided. So that's the only thing that if I have to
Yeah.
do nitpicking. Looking on the cricketing point of view, I kind of liked it. I had no major issues. I mean, we can talk about the organization part of it, but
Yeah, वो
pure
separate है. We
cricketing
will talk that separately. Yeah, I'm
was
talking
separate.
cricket.
The pure cricketing, I enjoyed it.
And I think you called out an important point. जो हमें teams पता थे who will do well, who kind of did well in the initial half. अब जब मैं भी statistics
Barring England.
निकालूंगा, barring England, pretty predictably they are all the top performers. तो kind of वो पता चल गया था. तो I thought we start first with batting. Um,
True.
सबसे पहले बात करते हैं मोस्ट रन्स की. सो आई रीड आउट हियर ऑडियंस के लिए, जो नहीं देख रहे बट सुन रहे हैं. मोस्ट रन्स स्कोर्ड इन द टूर्नामेंट, विराट कोहली 765 runs. Rohit Sharma was second, 597 runs. Quinton de Kock was third, 594 runs. Rachin Ravindra was 578 runs, number fourth, and Daryl Mitchell was 552 runs, number five. So we are picking out all top five in each segment. Um, Saurabh, any first comments on this most runs category?
I mean, it's not a surprise the kind of form that Virat Kohli was coming with, that he has scored the most number of runs. और शायद मुझे तो लग रहा था एक टाइम पे कि जिन्होंने 50 रन बना लिए थे ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ, कि मुझे लगा कि 800 रन ना बन जाए, विच इज आई मीन 700 रन ही किसी ने नहीं मारे वर्ल्ड कप में। 800 वुड हैव बीन अ माउंटेन ऑफ रन्स दैट एनीवन कुड हैव एक्चुअली थॉट ऑफ that anyone can score in World Cup. So amazing performances from Virat Kohli. मैं तो बोलूंगा रोहित शर्मा के जो 600 रन है, 597 runs to be very precise, it's worth gold, क्योंकि he has played lot of selfless innings. और selfless का मतलब यहाँ पे है कि he is kind of you know he's got the starts. The way Rohit Sharma played in the past, he could have 40 रन बनाने के बाद usually रोहित शर्मा settle down हो जाते हैं. He goes for ones and twos, लेकिन he played aggressively through and throughout. I mean, मुझे लग रहा था कि सेमीफाइनल्स में आके या फाइनल्स में आके थोड़ा सा कॉशियस अप्रोच लेंगे, लेकिन he just didn't. So these 600 runs, I mean, almost 600 runs, are the most precious runs that anyone could score for Team India. He kind of set up the games for India. तो मुझे लगता है कि सबसे standout performance among all the five is what I would say is Rohit Sharma. He kind of surprised me as well, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't know how to put that way. I know he could very well do this, but the fact that he did it for 11 matches, barring one match where he got out to Australia, in Chennai wala match, was amazing. For me, he's a standout performer, even though Kohli amassed 765 runs.
Yeah. Um, my one interesting observation of the most runs category में ये है कि there is no Australian.
True.
In the top 5. Yeah, they're there in the Behla. हम बात करेंगे, बाकी other players की, but it's a very interesting thing कि Australia proved this World Cup. It's not the most amount of runs. It's how much of an impact as a team you did it. And it's reflecting on the next column as we go along. But I think that was the first interesting observation on the most runs. But otherwise, as you completely said, all the top 5 have been the superstars. And हम बात करेंगे अपने team of the tournament के ये regular features होंगे ये. Then these guys were the impact players for their teams respectively, including New Zealand and then South Africa के लिए Quinton de Kock. So totally agree with you. Let's move to the highest scores, second category. Highest scores में आज हमारे top 5 highest scores in this tournament were Glenn Maxwell, the only double centurion of this tournament, 201 not out. The famous match now, the legendary match against Afghanistan. Mitchell Marsh, 177 runs against Bangladesh. And then you had Quinton de Kock, 174 runs versus Bangladesh. David Warner, 163 runs versus Pakistan. And then Devon Conway, 152 runs versus England. Saurav, any comments on these numbers on the highest
201 stands out. I mean, possibly the innings of the ODI format is what I would
I think
define
hands down the
innings.
Best innings of the
One
World
of the
Cup.
best innings.
Yeah, I mean the best innings of the World Cup
Possibly the
history.
ODI.
ODI as well. I
That's
think
for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
possibly ODIs may it gonna be a battle between Viv Richards वाली innings where he played with Michael Holding.
Yeah,
ODI हिस्ट्री में बोलता हूँ, लेकिन रेलेवेंस इसका ज्यादा रहेगा क्योंकि एक तो है कि ये वर्ल्ड कप का मैच है, 91 for 7 थे, चेज कर रहे थे. He was injured, so there is a lot of drama involved in this.
And Australia won because I think
sense.
this was a turning point. In my opinion, this was the most impact game because they were not playing very, very well. Now 91 for 7, they were looking out, and they could have changed the trajectory. Afghanistan shayad aa jata, would have made dent in the standing. It could have impacted the psyche of Australia itself. Shayad Australia would have lost against South Africa because lost against Afghanistan. वो एक negative block जो शायद आता.
True.
Maxwell's innings changed for Australia because if you can come up from 91 for 7 in Indian conditions against Rashid Khan and the four spinners of Afghanistan, you can beat anyone, and they just exactly they did that after that. I mean, the run they have put in, the kind of impact they've done.
True.
My other observation was there's no Indian in this. Interestingly, no one has scored 150. So kind of see, Virat, Rohit, Iyer, all our Indian top players, right? They've done exceedingly consistently well, but it was interesting to see that no one went ahead and scored big. Nothing against it. It just was an interesting observation. The third category in batting was most hundreds. And here is where you're going to see some interesting numbers here. So most centurion in this World Cup was Quinton de Kock, 4 centuries. It's a shame that he's actually retiring from the World Cup. Man has been in the best form in his life, in the ODI format at least. Virat Kohli is number 2 with 3 centuries, combined with Rachin Ravindra, who also is at 3 centuries. Daryl Mitchell, David Warner, Shreyas Iyer, Rishi van der Dusen, Mitchell Marsh, Glenn Maxwell, Travis Head, all with 2 centuries. What are your thoughts on this one, sort of?
Quinton de Kock 4 सेंचुरी मारी उन्होंने अपने लास्ट वर्ल्ड कप में, लास्ट ODI सीरीज में. Quite a good performance. I mean, 4 century सुनने को नहीं मिलती. I remember Rohit Sharma scoring 5 centuries in 2019 World Cup.
2019 World Cup.
So one heck of a performance from Quinton de Kock. Nothing surprising about Kohli doing Kohli things, but those 2 centuries by Travis Head. मैंने अभी रोहित शर्मा के बारे में बोला कि 597 runs, weight worth gold. I mean, मैं gold से ज़्यादा क्या होता है, I don't know, but those two centuries were match winning, especially the last one, the most important one for Travis Head and Team Australia. And I'm not going to, speak about the wickets. Along with the two centuries, he also scored, that uh, uh, very precious 62 runs. So especially the centuries, I think Quinton de Kock, Kohli, or Travis Head की जो performances हैं, I think these are the ones which stands out. I mean, David Warner ने भी अच्छा खेला है. So all are, pretty good performance. Let's talk about Daryl Mitchell. 2 centuries against Team India. I know Team India is not the champion, but you got to
The
give
best
to
team,
Team India ki unki jo bowling thi,
probably the best team
best
in the
team or best
tournament.
and best bowling attack, right? One of the best
It
bowling
was,
attack
I
at the end
think,
of the
hands down
tournament.
the best bowling attack in the tournament.
Tournament, right? So those centuries, Mari, I think that's also quite commendable. So all good performances.
Yeah, actually, when you were telling me and I was looking at the numbers again, right? It's the semi-finalists who thoroughly deserve to be in semi-finalists when you look at the stats here. ऑस्ट्रेलिया के 4
Hmm.
प्लेयर्स हैं इन दिस लिस्ट व्हिच इज मार्श, मैक्सवेल, हेड एंड वार्नर. इंडिया के 2 हैं, आयर एंड कोहली. साउथ अफ्रीका के 2 हैं, क्विंटन डिकॉक एंड रसी वैंडरडुसन. एंड देन यू हैड न्यूजीलैंड हैज 2, डैरल मिचेल एंड रचिन रविंद्र. एंड coincidentally all 4 of them ended up in semi-final. Well, no
Right,
coincidence there because they also played semi-finals and finals. They also
true.
had a little bit more matches, but you can see the impact they all had for their respective teams. Um, very, very interesting to see, some of the impact players. Like, for example, you see, if you look at from most hundreds category and most runs category, Rohit Sharma has second highest scoring runs, but he doesn't have 2 centuries. The kind of runs he had, he scored quick fire 80, 70, whatever, and then he left. But then you also see players like Marsh or Maxwell
Hmm.
or Warner who will not have highest runs, but who all made impact with their centuries. जब उनको चाहिए था and
True,
all of that.
true, true, true.
And sadly, you don't see any England, you don't see any Pakistan, you don't see any Sri Lanka, you don't see any other players because, and that's how it has been, that they have not been good enough runs wise, and that's why they're not in the top 4. Very evident there.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, we're going to get to the 4 table, but if you just look at this entire, slide, it's all semi-finalists.
It's all
It's all
semi-finalists,
semi-finalists.
and it's all the players who brought them to semi-finalists. अगर हम वो देखेंगे उनके जो हाईएस्ट स्कोर्स, अगर हम देखेंगे उनके सेंचुरीज, श्योर डैरल मिचेल ने सेंचुरी मारी अपनी सेमीफाइनल में, but Rachin Ravindra's centuries all came in the group stages. And Rachin Ravindra's another thing is he's 23, man. I don't think the only other player in World Cup history to have come in this top 5 in runs and centuries is Sachin Tendulkar. So clearly a star of the future for New Zealand. Clearly an impact player who had
Really.
done so much for their country. Um, and let's look at the last category, which is most sixes in the tournament. So this is not just one game, but pura milake. Number 1, as expected or as no surprises there, Rohit Sharma, 31 sixes. Number 2, David Warner, 24 sixes. Number 3 was a little bit of a surprise to me, but when I look at it now, kind of sixes he's hit. The farthest 6 in the tournament, I think, along with Daryl Mitchell. So Shreyas Iyer was 24 sixes as number 3. Number 4 is Daryl Mitchell and Glenn Maxwell, 22 sixes. And number 5, Quinton de Kock and Mitchell Marsh, 21 sixes. नो सरप्राइजेस, जिन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा रन बनाए, जिन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा हाईएस्ट स्कोर बनाए, उन्होंने सेंचुरी बनाई, उन्होंने ही सबसे ज्यादा सिक्सेस मारे हैं. इट्स काइंड ऑफ कोरिलेटिव देयर, बट yeah, interestingly, no Virat Kohli in this list. So Virat Kohli was one of those guys who didn't hit higher score, who didn't score most sixes, but he scored the most runs because he was consistently, performing every game in, game out. It was a very, very interesting observation there. So that was batting. बात करते हैं बॉलिंग और फील्डिंग की लिटिल बिट. सो फर्स्ट, सबसे पहले कैटेगरी इन बॉलिंग इज मोस्ट विकेट्स. So I can read the names here for the audience. So number 1 is Mohammad Shami, 24 wickets off 7 matches. Number 2 is Adam Zampa, 23 wickets off 11 matches. Number 3 is Dilshan Madhushankar, 21 wickets off 9 matches. Number 4 is Jasprit Bumrah, 20 wickets off 11 matches. And number 5 is Gerald Coetzee, South Africa, 20 wickets off 8 matches. So what are your thoughts on the wicket ballers here?
Standout performer, Mohammad Shami. I think उनका आज एक interview है which was as fiery as the spells that he bowled in the World Cup.
Oh,
24
really? I did
matches.
not see that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So he kind of shut a lot of Pakistani ex-Pakistan players who were talking about a lot of shitty things about ball, pitch, India controlling
Very
a lot of
nice.
things, a lot of aspects. Yeah. So 24 I think 24 wickets. What kind of stands out is the number of matches. I won't use a word. He was snubbed for first 3 to 4 matches because Hardik Pandya, being Hardik Pandya, he was in the team and
Yeah.
someone just had to be out. I mean, Siraj
Yeah.
was
I mean,
performing
it's just
well.
the thing.
He
It
just
had to
couldn't
be. Yeah,
find.
exactly. It was
Yeah.
sheer
So
lucky. Yeah.
seven matches and जैसा मुझे याद है, he's one of the top performers or top bowlers in the World Cup history. अगर आप देखेंगे, I think number 1 is McGrath, number 2 maybe Wasim Akram. I don't remember. Like he's in the list. He's in the top 2 or 3 in just 3 World Cups, right? McGrath has played 4 World Cups, 4 to 5 World
Yeah.
Cups, if I'm right. But the number of matches that he has played is very, very less
Yeah.
compared to the others. And his average, his strike rate is phenomenal. So he's a standard performer. Adam Zampa, when Australia was struggling, when they lost a couple of matches at the start, a very key performer for them was Zampa. I think उनका जो form में आना वापस जब वो form में आए, that was when Australia started to win some of the key matches which Australia had to win. They relied on
Yep.
Zampa to perform. So Shami and Zampa for me would be the standout performers. Jasprit Bumrah, I mean, this is something which is expected out of him. So that's what the kind of bar that Bumrah has set himself for. So amazing performance by him coming back after an injury. So all
Very true.
kudos to
Very
him.
true.
I like the look of this guy, Gerald Quidze, 21-year-old guy. Like the aggression, didn't give up in the semi-finals. If you saw his spell against Australia, very passionate, very aggressive. So I like the look of him. I hope he has a good future for South Africa in the coming future.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. For me, Shami was the player of the tournament. I know Virat won it, but
Yeah, he was.
Shami rightfully was the player of the tournament. The kind of impact he had done on, and it's coming now very clearly on the second category, which is best bowling figures in the entire tournament. Number 1, Mohammad Shami, 7 for 57 versus New Zealand in the semi-final. Number 2, Mohammad Shami, 5 for 18 versus Sri Lanka. Number 3 is Ravindra Jadeja, 5 for 33 versus South Africa. Number 4, Mohammad Shami again, third time, 5 for 54 versus New Zealand. This was a group game. Number 5, the only Pakistan representation in the entire stats, in the entire this World Cup, Shaheen Shah Afridi, 5 for 54 versus Australia. Clearly, Shami has been the standout bowler in the entire World Cup.
Entire World Cup, sure.
It's amazing.
Very surprising कि
Three.
सारे best bowling figures are kind of ruled by Indian subcontinent.
Very true. Very
Especially, I mean,
true.
first
Actually
4,
true. All 5.
4 तो इंडिया के ही हैं, 4 इंडिया
चार
के
तो
हैं
इंडिया
और
के
एक
हैं, and then
पाकिस्तान के।
एक पाकिस्तान का है. There's no Australia, there's no South Africa, there's no other representation there. So, yeah, I mean, hands down, I think, yeah, the Indian bowlers ruled the roost there. I mean, in terms of and the reason why they ended up, where they were in the final. Strangely, apart from Zampa, no Australian, no New Zealand bowler, and just one South African bowler. So you can say that India was the most complete team if you look at it from that batting and bowling aspect of it. In terms of the performances, I mean, I don't see any representation from Australia outside Zampa. I mean, Zampa deserved it, but there's no New Zealander. It's very, very interesting there in that list. So, but New Zealand comes in the separate category in the number one, which is the most catches. बोलते हैं कि fielding wins you the matches. से final में हमें लगा था final और semi-final में the way Australia was fielding, they actually were the 12th player or 13th player in the squad for the team in semi-finals and finals, the crunch games. I think South Africa के साथ 20-30 रन सेव करे होंगे, इंडिया के साथ 20-30 रन डेफिनेटली सेव करे होंगे, and you can see that in that list. Number one is Daryl Mitchell, 11 catches. Number two is Marnus Labuschagne, 8 catches. Number three, David Warner. He's not exactly young, 8 catches. Number four, David Miller, 7 catches. And number five, Ravinder Jadeja, India's best fielder, at 7 catches. Catches win matches, and yeah, they all had made an impact in their catching. And you can see 2 Australians, 1 South African, 1 New Zealander, and 1 Indian.
आई थिंक द इंटरेस्टिंग, अगर ये हमारे पास ये इंफॉर्मेशन कहीं से मिले, आई मीन मिल जाती तो अच्छा रहता है. आई मीन वी वुड हैव वांटेड टू सी अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ टू थिंग्स. वन वुड बी द कैचिंग एफिशिएंसी, number one of
Actually, that's a good
by
one.
team, and second would be the number of runs saved. क्योंकि semi-finals और finals का difference वही है. You know,
Correct.
they took fantastic
Actually,
catches. Travis said possibly took possibly the catch of the series,
catch of the tournament.
maybe
Possibly.
a
Yeah.
tournament. Lekin I would have definitely wanted to see the number of runs saved by the team and who is the standout performer, as far as the fielding is concerned in terms of number of runs saved, because that kind of defines the overall feeling. Catches plus the number of runs saved. यहाँ पे Daryl Mitchell 11 catches दिखा रहे हैं, लेकिन I don't know if you can remember न्यूजीलैंड का ये जो टूर्नामेंट था, as far as fielding is concerned, was one of the worst that I can actually remember. There were a lot of catches that they dropped. Likes
Correct.
of
They did.
Glenn Phillips,
Glenn Phillips dropped
they
few,
they
which
did
has
drop
surprised.
catches. Few
India
surprise.
game, I
So
remember they did dropped catches and all that. I know Daryl Mitchell was the only standout player there. I mean, you can understand some of them also stand in slips.
yeah.
And I didn't put the category of wicket keepers, but I would think कि शायद KL Rahul or Quinton de Kock probably would be in number 1 and 2 sort of a scenario.
True.
But yeah, the kind of saying Warner, Marnus, Labuschagne there. आप जो बोल रहे हैं efficiency के बारे में, if I remember right, I think जब वो matches में वो जो दिखाते हैं stats,
दिखा रहे थे.
I think they were showing the efficiency in Australia was not very good at it actually in the initial part of the tournament. I don't remember the end part of the tournament, but initially they were not good, and it was showing their standings. They were 8th or 9th after the first 3 games. So, yeah, it was very interesting to see that number. I thought थोड़ा other stats के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं. I mean, we can run through this quickly because it's not talking about the players, but it gives an indication of the teams. Highest total in the tournament was done by first. सबसे पहले highest totals की बात करते हैं. Highest score. Top score in this tournament was done by South Africa, 428 runs for 5 versus Sri Lanka. Second was India, 410 for 4 versus the Netherlands. Third one was New Zealand, 401 for 6 versus Pakistan, which incidentally they lost thanks to Duckworth Lewis. Fourth was South Africa again, 399 for 7. And fifth was Australia, 399 for 8. South Africa game was against England, and then Australia did against Netherlands there. So, again, teams which came to the semi-final are heavily listed here. I don't see any outliers there. Interestingly, Netherlands was one of the whipping boys, but very interesting to see Pakistan and England in that opposition. Kind of highlights the troubles they had in the World Cup. England whacked out, and then Pakistan having up and down World Cup.
Yeah, I think काफी मैचेस रहे जहाँ पे 300-350 से रन के से ज्यादा रन बने, लेकिन वो मुझे लगता है ज्यादातर एट द अर्लियर पार्ट ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट था. बहुत सारे लोग एक्चुअली सोच रहे थे कि और ज्यादा रन बनेंगे, लेकिन दैट वाजंट द केस. एंड दिस इज समथिंग, and that is the thing that possibly I liked about this World Cup. There were certain matches स्पेशली इन द नाइट। आपने आपने जो मोहम्मद शामी के जो परफॉर्मेंसेस देखे ज्यादातर वो नाइट में थे, तो देयर वर
करेक्ट।
लॉट ऑफ इंस्टेंसेस व्हेन द बॉल वाज काइंड ऑफ स्विंगिंग स्लैश सीमिंग अराउंड इन द लाइट्स। तो और थोड़े मैचेस ऐसे भी हुए जहाँ पे बैट और बॉल का अच्छा अच्छा एक बैलेंस रहा था। आई कैन रिमेंबर ऑफ पाकिस्तान साउथ अफ्रीका अगेन। आई कैन रिमेंबर ऑफ द सेमीफाइनल्स। इट वाज
या
अ कंप्लीटली contrast games to what we have been seeing, let's say, for the last 10 to 15 years. You don't get to see 200 odd games, right? 211, 212 runs mare the, and Australia kind of struggled to get through those, struggled to chase those number of runs. So they were quite a good pitches, is what I would say. लेकिन yeah, I think South Africa ने काफी अच्छी परफॉर्मेंसेस दी। बहुत सारे उन्होंने आई थिंक ऐसे स्कोर्स बनाए which were above 350, which are not
या
gonna,
they did.
we are not able to see this in this particular table. So yeah,
They'll be in the top 10
good
for sure. Yeah.
good run. Yeah, yeah. So good run feast sort of pitches is what we basically got in the first half of the tournament.
Yeah. And actually 428 for 5 is the highest ODI score in the World Cup. It's not highest ODI score in ever because 480 bhi gaya hua hai. But South Africa ka highest, that is the highest score in the World Cup history. So good to see, 400 plus runs, almost 399 be 400 ही बोल सकते हैं, very close to 400 in that way. So but you're right, it was balanced that way. वो South Africa Pakistan, I remember that was was a 1 wicket victory and all of that, and so in the semifinals, rightly as you said it. So बात करते हैं next category, which is highest match aggregates. And the reason I only wanted to bring this up was the kind of pitches they were. Flat track नहीं बोल सकता, but good for batting. They had runs. तो सबसे पहला था ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड जो धर्मशाला में हुआ था, which was a very close game. Australia winning that by 5 runs, 771 runs. That is one of the high scoring close games we had. Then you had South Africa versus Sri Lanka, which was the second game, which was the second one at 754 runs. ये दिल्ली में हुआ था. The third one was India New Zealand, 724 runs. This was the semifinals at Mumbai. New Zealand also reached on one point of time. They were not in the hunt, but they were testing India. Fourth was one of the earlier games, Pakistan versus Sri Lanka. Pakistan chased this. People don't remember. Pakistan did their highest chase, 344 chase karna tha. They scored 345. And so they had 689 runs. This was in Hyderabad. And fifth one was a run feast, which changed the fortunes of Australia, because that's when Bangalore mein Marsh and Warner took that, massive partnership. Pakistan tried it, but they lost it eventually. Close game nahi raha, but Pakistan were trying. They tried it. So 672 runs. This was in Bengaluru. Sort of the only reason I bought it was the venues. Look at the venues. You had Dharamshala, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Bengaluru. Guess what's missing?
Ahmedabad.
Yeah, the finals venue, Ahmedabad. So I mean, I say this loud now. Ahmedabad was never a high-scoring venue, not even an IPL. So,
Why?
should it get World Cup final? I don't know.
I think retrospectively speaking, I think everyone would feel कि शायद मुंबई में होना चाहिए था। 2011 की भी memories attached है वहाँ पे। And traditionally, Mumbai is a good wicket. Mumbai is a good ODI
Right.
wicket. हालांकि I know we discussed कि I don't know what the Indian management was thinking when they prepared that pitch. I know this is an ICC tournament and blah blah blah. ICC control करती है, लेकिन we very well know कि थोड़ा influence है BCCI का and Indian team management का in terms of the nature of pitch that they want to play. I really don't understand कि भाई अहमदाबाद में मुझे डाउट था कि यार अहमदाबाद में जब डिसाइड हुआ था वेन्यू सिलेक्शन की, अहमदाबाद में जब फाइनल डिसाइड हुआ कि यार द पिच देयर इज नॉट सो कंड्यूसिव टू द बैटिंग। और आप जब 4-5 मैचेस खेल लोगे, जो कि हुआ अहमदाबाद
Yep.
में, आई डोंट
Fifth
नो व्हाट
match
द
was the
नेचर ऑफ द
final.
पिच इज गोना बी। एंड अगेन यार अब पता नहीं है वाज इट समथिंग व्हिच वाज डिजाइंड बाय द इंडियन टीम मैनेजमेंट, वी डोंट नो। So but I still believe कि
See, I
Mumbai
mean, I
possibly
understand
was the
pitches
best
can be,
venue.
tourney and all that, but if you want a high-scoring, high-match aggregate game where there's runs on the board, cricket is in India is all about runs kitna banayenge. That's why we're obsessed about our batting numbers. You're obsessed always about that. You're never obsessed कि कितने सबसे ज्यादा विकेट लिए हैं. India is always centuries किसने मारी है, highest run किसने मारा है, सबसे ज्यादा रन मैच में कितने मारा है. I would have thought Bang Ahmedabad would have been in the list, but it was surprising to see Ahmedabad was not in that aggregate list. Um, at least in the top five. So I thought it was an interesting observation there. Last category in this was the victories, largest amount of victories. Again, clearly the semifinalists were ruling the roost here. Number one was Australia, 309 runs versus Netherlands. Number 2 and 3 were India, 302 runs versus Sri Lanka, and then 243 runs against South Africa. And then the last two were South Africa there. So South Africa had a 229 runs versus England, and then South Africa had 190 runs versus New Zealand. Those were again, top teams, New England and New Zealand. South Africa really demolished them. But clearly, these teams deserve to be in the semifinals, in the finals. South Africa should have been in the final again. They met Australia again. When you look at the numbers overall, the numbers don't lie. The data says clearly the best teams came into the finals. The best teams won the finals. The best teams came into the finals. After that, it's really a knockout. So South Africa, India will feel unlucky. But that's been the nation. They had dominant performances throughout the tournament, and the numbers show that. So thank you for watching. Please like that video. Please like and subscribe. Please share with your friends and family, and give us your comment. What do you think of? What did you think of the best moments, the best performance, or the best? Put that in your comment section below. Thank you again. Bye bye.
Thank you.